Hope you guys are having a great day, night, lunch, brunch, whatever it is for you. Because all I can say is I know I am. So today's story time is basically going to be about a time where I witnessed a fight over keychains. I know what you're thinking, but actual chaos. How can someone ever get into a fight over? Well, this, my friends, I'm here to tell you. Let us begin. Three, two, and go. So one day I was sitting in sixth grade, and the story takes place back. I just said it. Takes this story takes place back in sixth grade, and this was when Minecraft was like pretty new. Like everybody was obsessed with it. Played at lunch, played it sometimes even during class. Even kind of got off about that, but it's Minecraft. And so at lunch we have, or at the school that I go to, I'm not going to name the school, but at the school that I go to, we had a library. And that library was kind of like a computer lab type of place where there'd be lots of computers, obviously, but also like people would kind of use them for like gaming, YouTube, like you name it. And so this kid, uh, for this story, we're gonna call him Daniel because he's genuine. I've had my fair share of fights with him, and just overall having to deal with someone like that it was really annoying. And basically Daniel would always just kind of find a way to like really mess with the kid, and it was never a good time. I actually knew this kid for a while, and basically like he would always tell me like, bruh, he won't leave me alone. I don't know what else to do. And so there would be times where he would come to me for help. Like he would kind of tell the teachers, but the teachers, it was kind of like during that little era of, oh, well, kids will be kids, so it's fine. So, yeah. So I'm just chilling in the library with this kid, and Daniel comes up and kind of starts talking crap about his keychains. Now I don't know like why, but like this was also during the time of when the like super like you mess with my keychains, I'll kill you type of stuff. And basically don't or I almost said his full name or real name. But basically Daniel would just kind of harass his kid like almost for no reason, but like it was kind of, like there were sometimes there would be a reason, and then there were other times where there wouldn't be, like it wouldn't be a necessary thing. And so basically, what would happen is the following: Daniel would come up to this kid time and just for no reason start saying like really random crap to kind of like terrorize him, like threaten him, and as well as just kind of really piss him off, like just for no reason. Like I never really understood why people get kicked out of that. Like, okay, you made someone mad. Now what? Um, so Dylan would always just kind of say really weird things. He's kind of like one of the weird kids at school. He had some friends, but not a ton. And it wasn't that popular, to be honest. And so what would happen is that Dylan had walked up to this just for no reason and starts messing with him. So both me and the kid are kind of like, dude, not for today. Like you always do this. Understood why. Like, can you not do this? No. He starts kind of being all, what's the matter? Like, so I was very like, oh, well, not answering me. You know what? I like your key. And so he decided to grab a pair of scissors, and I kid you not. He grabs a pair of scissors and attempts to cut this kid's. It's just kind of like, whoa, 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 what are you doing? And he'd be like, and Daniel said, how'd you like cut chains? And so both me and the kid were like, dude, you're nuts. Like, don't have. Oops, sorry guys, I did not convert. But basically, um, the kid and I would just kind of be like, dude, you're nuts. Like, why would you do that? And knowing Daniel, he kind of got a kick out of things like that because this kind of had a reactionary problem where he'd always get told by his parents, like, like whenever I'd go over to his house, he would always be told by his parents, like, just walk away from it, don't try and involve yourself that much. Yeah, we're just not going to get into it. That's a story for another time. And so Dylan, or he grabs a pair of scissors and he's but also makes his way over to the kid's backpack. And what tends to happen, somebody messes, someone else's stuff is not bad. So he heads over to the kid's and starts to like pick up the keychains. So I'm like, dude, just stop. Like, I don't know what your deal is. Just like stop the reason for it. And so he starts like like he's like Teen Wolf or something, like your little like it was so cringy. It was one of the cringiest things I've ever had to experience. He starts growling at me the kid proceeds to like take the um the scissors to the keychain. At this point, like the kid's already mad. Daniel, I almost Daniel just will not leave this kid alone. So he gets mad, full on, gets in his face, tries to rip the scissors out of his hands. And what happens next is kind of what shocks me because he was never really known for fighting. But what happens next is he tackles the kid down like okay, so like in this library we have like these stairs. He tackles the kid down the stairs, and the kid almost hits his head on the table, but not quite. But it like if you were to be looking from like an outside perspective, you kind of be like really just hit his head on that table. He didn't. However, everyone started treating it like like ow my head, my head. Like, oh you hit my head on the table. And the kid looks at him and goes, "Get up, you big baby! No, I didn't." And so somebody rushes out, and from what I remember, all I remember seeing was just not silence, but just a little bit of kind of like a what the crap moment. Like, holy crap, this dude really just kind of tackled a kid because he was about to cut his teeth. And what happens next, or yeah, what happens in the following events? The teacher comes in, notices the kid on top of Dylan, and notices the kid on top of Dylan. Dylan's kind of sitting there like fake crying, fake like BSing because he was one of those people who was a my teacher's pet. Boy, oh boy, did we know how we are with those. So the teacher's pet, sorry, Daniel, decides to play the victim, and he's like, "Ow, my head! Like he banged my head." And the kid stands up and goes, "No, I did not. Stop telling people that I did." So the teacher's like, for this story, we're gonna call the teacher Jenny. She no offense to any for Jenny. I promise you this is no offense. So Jenny kind of looks at the kid. Is this really happened? And it goes to explain the story, but the minute the kid attempts to say anything at all, Dylan, or I just Daniel, Daniel proceeds to go, "Oh, he's not. He's lying. He's lying." Like just kind of like in the voice of like a kid plays basically. Yes, maybe Balthazar, and starts kind of being like, "He's lying. He's lying." And so the kid goes, "No, I am not. Stop being a baby and get over yourself." With that, Jenny gets mad, grabs the kid, and kind of leads him to the office, right? And so there are these three secretaries in the office, and like there are just three tables, three secretaries, and then there was the vice principal's office. That's another story. There's the vice principal's office. It's like the main office, just kind of like in the store. And then, so yeah, so the kid gets brought into the office, same thing as Daniel. What happens next is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. So, secretaries doing their job for everyone makes both kids write out a little something called. Now, if you've never been to a school with a student statement, something like this, basically write your quote on. He said antagonists. You write what you think happened, and get ready, guys. But you also write. Well, okay, so basically it was write out what happened. You write out what you write out what you think happened. Who was involved? Why? Why do you think the event happened? And when did it happen? Where did it happen? Like basically like just like almost like an interrogation at this point. I mean, like I knew like the school was kind of like prison, but at the same time, it's like prisons, but I didn't realize it was much into the prison stuff. And so what happens next? What happens is I don't know why I keep saying what happens next. What happens is that they both go up to see vice principal. Nothing happens for, and then he comes back into science class with a very smug kind of like I just won face. You know, like kind of like the face that all Karens did when they're about to be like, "Oh, I just won, suck it, champ," and basically proceeds to show the following. Or sorry, proceeds to tell the following. So he tells the kid, "You're busted," and the kid goes, "What? What do you mean? What do you do?" And so shows him the student statement that this kid had written out, and he shows him that the student statement that said Daniel out, and on the student statement he had put that he was minding his own business, and that the kid. Okay, instead of calling him, I'm just gonna call him. We're gonna call him Andy. A pretty nice name. But yeah. So I'm gonna call this kid Andy. So Andy looks at the like a what did you do? Like almost like the type of thing to like where if Daniel were to like what's this? Oh, like a situation of I just cheated on the test. I never got caught, but you cheated on the test, so I win. And proceeds to show Daniel what was written on his student statement, or proceeds to show Andy what was written on the student statement. On the student statement, he had written that he was minding his own business, and out of nowhere, Andy came out how Daniel was frightened for his life. Supposedly, yes, the kid who instigated was 100% afraid for his life, and so he did what he did what he supposedly and fought back. Now, none of this is like true. Like basically, Andy's looking at him super pissed. Like, dude, why would you write that? That's not even true. It's like true, but not true. And so Andy's kind of sitting there puzzled, like trying to figure out like what it means. Then Daniel basically dumbs it down for him a little bit, and it's just kind of like basically needless to say is that I won, you lost. So Andy gets pulled into the office. I go with him, and the vice principal is sitting there with like her arms folded, kind of in a way. And now the way her arms are like, I'm mad at you. Like you disappointed me today, right? So Andy kind of sits down and goes, "I do." And so the principal, we're gonna name her. She had the soccer mom, very bad at her job, and on top of that, was just not the brightest star in the entire galaxy. So Aaron is sitting there with his arms folded, and like a little bit of like a look like that kiss kind of look, like you messed up now. So Aaron looks at both of us because do you know why I called you in? And Daniel, oh gracious Daniel, no, I don't know why I was called in. All I remember was that this kid had attacked me, and yeah, basically this kid attacked me. So I don't know why do you think I'm in? Why do you think we're in here, Andy? So Andy looks at him like ready to just snap him and punch him, which he does, but that's later in the story. And a couple of, but looks at Daniel, trying not to lose his cool. And, oh, why are we in here? Let's ask his very neighborly care. Sorry, our very own school care. And so they basically are just kind of like, okay, why are you here? Sarah responds, well, I heard that Andy, you threatened Daniel's life, and we do not tolerate bullying at this school. Do you understand me? And Andy looks in so much disbelief that he almost like he looks like he could have seen it. Like it's very possible that a ghost may have just entered his body, whispered, "Don't," whispered something, was something, basically whispered something and then left his body. Which, to be honest, like that would be for a ghost just entered that body. And so, so yeah, so Andy's super pissed now. Daniel is sitting here with like the smuggest face in the world, like he just want to know. And Karen is sitting here just kind of like very disappointed. Do you have any idea what you've done? And stuff like that. So Andy tries to defend himself and is like, well, actually, Karen, it did not go down like that at all. In fact, Daniel was the one who started this whole thing. You can even ask Casual Chaos. So Karen calls me in, like, you're needed in the office immediately. And so I'm like, oh great, what could you want now? Because I too had gotten myself into a lot of trouble back then. Not a good year for either of us. So she calls me in, like, Andy says that you're a witness, and like he knows what happened. And so I tell my perspective, literally just basically what I saw happen was Stu Daniel over here walks up to um walks up to Andy, starts threatening him about his keychains just for no apparent reason, which of all things, what did keychains ever do? Those are my thoughts. And so basically, what happened? So basically, I'm thinking, why did keychains of all things? And so Daniel goes, "That's a lie. You're just trying to cover up for Andy." I'm like, but no, though, because one, I saw everything go down. I even entered the library with Andy, and like it's not a lie. So you think it's a lie, but it's not. And he starts getting kind of like the well, it's a lie because I'm from me and not Andy, and like all this other stuff. While he's like kind of low key tripping over his basically a bot at this. So basically goes, "Daniel, is this true?" And Daniel's saying, "What? You dare not believe me?" Kind of with that look on his face. He didn't actually say it. That would have been a cringy time right there. It was a scary time. And so he kind of has like this face of like, "How dare you not believe me?" I'm like basically kind of topping it off to, "I'm the best in your class," like stuff like that. So after hearing enough of this, I chime in on, "Can you shut up?" He looks at me like as if like I was like that shy kid or the quiet kid. And I look him square in the face and I go, "You shut up." Now he's had enough of pretty much everything that's gone down today or on that day, and he's like just kind of fumbling over his words. I'm like, I know I should have said this because this is a little bit unnecessary, but I say, do I have to spell it out for you? That literally. So then Karen looks straight at me and goes, "How dare you? We don't tolerate bullying. We don't tolerate this and that." And so I decided to just kind of be like, you say you don't tolerate that, but here you are, basically allowing Daniel to kind of get away with something that himself doesn't tolerate. She looks at me trying to stumble over her words, and she's kind of like, ugh. And so I'm like, no, you said we do not tolerate bullying. Yeah, but I'm like, no, let me finish. So you don't tolerate bullying, but yet you're letting a bully get away with bullying. And she sits there for a moment, just thinking, either thinking of a way to get back at me, or probably thinking I'm bad, which fails miserably. And then kind of has like that aha moment on her face, like, didn't you get in trouble like not too long ago because of bullying? And I was like, so I sit there, not jaw dropped, but just very like, you really want to bring this up. Like, you really, of all the times, I want to bring this up. So me being the, at the time, honest student, like, yes, I did. I, yeah, I had gotten in trouble here, but I'm pretty sure at this point, every kid is, there are any kids that hasn't gotten in trouble here, then they're there to everyone here. And so she kind of like looks at me with like this, okay, like kind of like a, not like an evil smirk, and she could have passed the bridge to be honest, because I had no clue. But basically, it was just kind of, hmm, yes, you see, I have won the day, mwahaha. And so I'm like, but let us not forget that you were the one who insinuated the noble. Now, of course, I didn't say it like that because I wasn't very smart. But basically, it was like, so basically, you're going to enforce a policy and not follow it. How does that make sense? So she looks at me, gets like at this point she's starting to turn red because she's running out of say, running out of comebacks to come at me with. I'm like, so then if this is equal, of course I didn't say words, but basically if just like like an equal thing, then technically like there should be two sides to a story, not Daniel's because he's like a favorite or whatever. And by the way, this character is haunted. It was doing. And so she sits there, not flabbergasted, but just kind of like third eye a little bit. Because you know what? You're right. But because Andy hasn't told his story, he is still like punished. And so Andy gives her like a face of, dude, what the heck? We spent this entire meeting talking about how your policies are hell. And I'm like kind of calmly sitting there trying really hard at this point. But basically, it's kind of like a court case. I was Andy's lawyer. Aaron was. So yeah, well, it was kind of like Aaron was like the judge and the lawyer at the same time. That makes sense. I don't know. It seemed like a lot. Yeah. And so this is kind of like a case or like a court case in a way, like the way it's brought up and stuff like that. So then everything gets settled, right? And you would think, wow, maybe the story's over. Trust me, this would not be a story. This would not be over if it wasn't a story. So you leave the classroom, right? we're all going back to science, and Aaron just kind of had like a "don't forget to apologize" type of face. Or we're just like, just get over yourself, Aaron. Not that worth it. Here's where the best part comes. Science class rolls around. Yeah, at the time we called it science, but like it was one of those things where like, basically learned science, and so for some reason, I have no idea how stupid this kid is, but he decided to pull up a seat right next to him, and after literally getting out of a whole thing with him, goes, "Hello, Andy." Andy's sitting there like, "Dude, this kid again? Like, what is wrong with you? Take the hint that no one's here." And so Daniel kind of just flops himself down next to Andy, and he's kind of just enjoying himself with a really smug. Now, you would think Daniel would have learned his lesson, given that he almost got busted. Wow, we are so far from the story being over. So Daniel starts whispering things, which like it's pretty visible that that's getting looked at because I was right next to both of them. Or no, I was across from them because it was a table of four. Andy and I were sitting together. Daniel kind of just walked over and sat next to us. Yeah. So I could tell just by Daniel's barking that Andy is really like in the right spot. Like he really is not happy. So Daniel whispers something to the point it snap like quicker than a pencil. So the whole class kind of has that like oh my god pencil look. And what they see is Andy stabbing Daniel with the pencil and kind of like you like that? Good, keep talking crap. And he kind of like has it in there pretty good, but it wasn't enough to like succeed or like wasn't enough to like do damage. So yeah, like it just was not enough to like doing actual damage. Like oh my gosh, the what's it called? We didn't exactly have like the school police back, or you have the like, police, but like you guys get the picture. And Daniel kind of just sits there, looks half like stab mark. Calmly, okay, here's the part that struck me as like, okay, it's kind of a trooper. He walks up to the teacher ever so calmly. Like, he just seems extremely unfazed by it, but almost as, I just want even more because now you sold and I have proof. So the teacher kind of looked, teacher and Daniel are talking back and forth, and we're both like, well, where did this come from? And Andy looks at me and goes, where did what come from? And I go, the ability to stab someone like that and not like actually that. And so Andy like kind of smirks at me a little bit and kind of gives me like kind of gives me like a little tap on the good old noggin and it's like right here, baby. Of course, he didn't call me baby, but point. So then now the teacher walks over, doesn't grab Andy, but is like, "You need to come outside right this instant." And after that, basically, Andy and the teacher go outside along with Daniel. And then I kind of peek my head out just to kind of see like what was going on. So Daniel and kind of going at it back and forth. Of course, the teacher kind of interrupts and he's like, "You boys need to stop like now. Like they're like you tolerate this. Like I can't do something like this." And Andy's like starting to freak out a little bit. Cool. So I kind of step out and I'm like, "Hey, what is happening?" The teacher tries to get me to go back inside, and he's like, "No, no, 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 no. Casual needs to stay out here." Of course, that isn't my real name, but I guess we'll talk about that later. Our story. Um, and so he goes, no, 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 I want him out here. I go out there, basically. At the time I was, but now, not. So he goes, no, 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 I want him out here. So I walk out, and then it's kind of like a repeat of the Karen teacher was less of a Karen. It was actually pretty chill. People enjoyed this teacher's company. So what happens next is a little bit not flabbergasting, just actually. So like we're sitting here both talking, everyone else is like blah blah blah, and Dylan for some reason decides to exaggerate the story even more, following by, he was this intent to hurt me. It really hurts, and starts like the fake crying, which we all know, like everyone hates the passion. Like, dude, who didn't stab you that hard considering you watched the teacher perfectly fine? And you start trying to tell the teacher, like, I can't write now because he stabbed me, he stabbed me in my hand, and it's all his fault. And so both Andy and I are like, dude, what are you even saying? Like, do you realize how stupid you sound right now? And of course, he starts crying. Daniel starts crying. But then the minute the teacher leaves, something seems really off. And he has a bit of a smirk on. For the third time that day, he had a bit of a smirk on. And he goes, my plan worked. I was like, what plan? He goes, my whole plan this entire time was to sabotage you both. Which Andy and I are like, dude, what is wrong with you? Like are you just mentally unhinged or something and just never got help? And he's like, nope, I'm just that smart. To which, by the way, guys, if you feel the need to say that you're that smart over something that's stupid, you clearly have a problem. Like, I don't know what it is, I'm not going to judge, but you just kind of clearly have a problem if you ask me to. And that was part of my plan. Mwahaha. Like, dude, nobody respects that. Almost ever. So Daniel walks back inside happily, while me and Andy are just like, dude, not good at all. So Andy's kind of like sitting out here, like, dude, I don't know how much more I can do this before I lose it. And I'm just like, dude, don't worry, nothing wrong. I'm literally your witness. There is nothing you can do wrong now. So he sends us both to the principal's office, and we're kind of just like, why? Like, why should we have to go? Because we knew exactly, Andy and I both knew exactly who the patient, because of Karen. So Karen's sitting there again, almost like as if like and we're both like, me and Andy are like, how? Like, why were you expecting us to come back? And of course, the teacher goes, like, kind of like a Palpatine type of thing, but not. She didn't actually say it that way. Like, I've been hearing like you boys have trouble lately, and I kind of cut her off, and I'm like, no, 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 no. No one's been having trouble except you, Dylan, because Dylan is too much of a spoiled something. Spoiled brat. We'll just go with brat. Spoiled brat to even realize what reality versus his weird ass beat up the world is. Like, and so Karen kind of goes, how dare you? Like kind of like a, how dare you? The kind of voice, getting ready to just basically pour at us at this point, and starts insulting us for insulting Dylan. Like, well, how would you like if someone said that to you? And we kept trying to tell her, like, dude, Dylan's been the one saying, how have you not noticed? And she kind of plays the role of Dylan's such a sweet. He would never do that. But like the typical, like literally, if I had never have guessed, say that Karen and Daniel. I don't know why I keep saying uh, Karen and Daniel are like pretty much the best of friends. So that happens. Andy got suspended, and or Andy gets suspended, and I'm sitting here like, dude, why would you do that? Why would you not suspend Daniel? You should do Daniel right there. And of course, you just like and starts trying to make all these excuses. So I'm out. He comes back to school not too long, like maybe like a week later. Like, dude, I have a plan. So I sat there like, so Andy kind of fills me in. At first, I'm much like, oh no, I am. And the more I thought about it, because I kind of just kind of like, oh, you know what? This plan might actually, this might actually sound okay. So the plan was that we were going to sabotage or Daniel in the best way possible. I'm just going to keep flip flopping the name. Don't actually know. So basically, Daniel is kind of like, oh, I get straight A's on everything. I'm the cool one. Not the same. Big stinky poopy head. And basically, Daniel and talking about a science project. However, what we were talking about a science project as well. And what happens next is some of the funniest things I've ever seen. Basically, Andy's plan was to hack into Daniel's hard drive and start replacing his project, like leaving the project name alone, but would replace the project with just really cringy things that someone like posts. And so it'd be like the weirdest pictures of him, like stuff to make him really be like, stop laughing, that's not funny, rant, and like all these other things, like just to take him off of it. So both of us knowing how Daniel is, we kind of are like, hey Daniel, for this project, can I borrow one of your like flash drive? And so he's like, what do you need it for? Like, that would I was like, dude, what? We're friends. We're friends. I was just kind of like joshing you back there, stalk at you and stuff like that. I'm sorry for that. But he goes, you know what? Don't mind. Don't mind him though. Once it Andy kind of just plays a little bit of a magic, a little bit of a magic role. Just plays a little like he kind of there's some like or smile and wave. He smiles and waves at Daniel, and he's just kind of like Daniel gets disgusted by that. I don't know why, but I always find it. And next thing to happen, we take the hard drive that was used, only to find out that he had all of his most embarrassing things, like pictures, videos, on that hard drive. So we were both kind of like, dude, this is genius. And the best part is nobody would know it was denied that we took the hard drive because us. We start uploading. So they ended up finding a file with his project on. So what she ended up realizing later, like, yeah, that was the wrong hard drive. Sorry about that. Can I have it back? So by the time he asked that question, we were basically done with it. He had uploaded everything he did, and it was like good as gold. Daniel grabs the hard drive. Well, not grabs it. He takes it from us and uploads it to. Now he and I are kind of like chuckling like that one Patrick goes together. Looks like Patrick's like, "Oh, boy," and SpongeBob says, "Five," that kind of thing. Like we're just kind of saying that. And the teacher looks at us with like a, want to share this with the class? So Andy and I are like, no, we're good. Just basically, it's Dylan's turn to go after like a series. Some of them are pretty good, and so it's Daniel's turn to go, and me and Andy are like, so Daniel uploads a flash drive near the computer. Here's my present. Come to find out, it's all of these videos of him when he was a little kid, just like temper tantrums, and the file was and like I had rechanged the file to school project instead of most embarrassing things I've ever shown one, and entire class erupts in laughing. Like everyone's laughing, everyone's having, you know, like it's just amazing. And Dylan's saying, or Daniel's saying, they're going, stop laughing, you're not, like kind of like monkey noises in a way, you know. And yeah, basically kind of like monkey noise. Excuse me, I have no clue what that was. That was. And so Daniel is just kind of like, stop laughing, it's not funny. But the kid is just like, the kids are laughing so hard to the point. I think some of them started crying a little bit. Some of them just not able to like handle. And yeah, like it was that kind of thing. So then the teacher sees me and Andy giggling, points at both of us, you two outside now, like that kind of motion. We're just kind of like, okay, whatever, chief. So we go outside. Um, yeah, we basically just go outside. You know, nothing too serious happened. But there, she was like, "You boys do this." So we look at her like in the most innocent, but also like, "No, we didn't. I don't know what you mean. Do you know what you mean?" Like that kind of look, and basically just go, "No, don't know what you mean. I don't know why you'd be accusing me of anything." And so the teacher kind of gives us like a little bit of like, I don't know if I trust you or not. And once the presentation's over, Dylan's crying at this point. He's like, "It was them! It was them!" And so the teacher's like, "Oh, I know you have your issues with them, but it wasn't them." And Daniel goes, "How do you know it wasn't them? It was obviously them." Like just trying to like throw out like really fake facts about us. And we were just like, dude, we've been sitting here watching your stupid presentation the entire time. Why would you go out of it as that? And what he said next pisses him off. Like, besides, your presentation was likely low-key hilarious. So I was trying to compliment him, but I guess for him. And he goes, "I'm gonna get my revenge on you. I'm gonna get my revenge on you." Like just stupid. Like, bro, what is your issue? Like, oh my god. So douche canoe Daniel over here, just like not like a read, but just kind of like a battle cry in a way. It's just like I don't even know how to make this sound, to be honest, because that's how stupid it is. So he makes this little battle cry like this is the last of me, and we're just kind of like, okay, Daniel, whatever. Hey, because we Andy and I both knew this was the last of him. Wasn't even messing anymore. And then once the teacher walks away, we kind of do what he did to us. Yeah, basically that was us. Got the teacher to believe that it wasn't us. So get played at your own game, Daniel. So Daniel's sitting there flabbergasted. "I knew it! You lied to the teacher!" And starts like trying to run back inside and grab the teacher. Just like, okay, Dylan, Daniel, sit down. To which hearing that probably must have been like the biggest no he's ever heard. Because trust me, like someone who just never heard the words no, or do it yourself. Like type in like ever. And he goes, I'll sue you for this. Or whatever. And I'm like, okay, have fun trying to sue sixth graders. And yeah, basically Daniel got suspended for that, but never came back. And Andy and I ended up passing eighth grade, both together. And yeah, that was kind of how that story went. Thank you guys so much for listening, and please do me a magical solid of pressing the like button, commenting literally anything. It could be potatoes, it could be tomatoes, it could be basically comment anything. Comment anything. Smash the like button as well as the post notifications button. Shoutouts who turns on my post notifications, but follow me on Instagram at casually chaotic 1993. Screenshot with your post notifications turned on, and you will get a very own shout out on our next video. I'm out. Peace.